The sky above Buenos Aires was the color of wet concrete. Cold, indifferent. The kind of afternoon that felt like it pressed down on your shoulders without mercy. Mateo stood at the edge of the Constitution station, the hum of tired commuters passing like waves behind him. He wore the same faded jacket he had worn to all 5 failed job interviews this month. His shoes were scuffed, his heart heavier than his steps. He looked up at the arrival board again. Nothing changed. Still no reason to stay, still no place to go. The city moved around him, uncaring. Horns blared in the distance. A vendor shouted something about churros. Life, it seemed, had left him behind. Mateo had studied accounting, finished with decent grades. But the world after graduation had greeted him with locked doors and false hopes. He had tried, he truly had, but no one seemed to want someone without experience. And how could you gain experience without someone first giving you a chance? He lowered himself onto a wooden bench, cold from the recent rain. His stomach growled. He ignored it. Hunger was familiar now, like an unwanted friend who never left. As he sat there, staring blankly at a flickering advertisement for a phone plan he couldn't afford, something red moved into the corner of his vision. A red umbrella. It stopped near him. A moment later, someone sat beside him. It was an older woman. Her face was wrinkled but kind. She wore a knitted shawl over her shoulders and held a cloth bag on her lap. Her umbrella dripped tiny droplets onto the pavement, each landing with a rhythm Mateo found oddly soothing. They sat in silence for a while. She didn't look at him, didn't ask him anything. But there was something calming about her presence. As if she knew the weight he carried, and simply decided to sit with it too. Just as Mateo was about to rise and leave, the woman reached into her bag and pulled out a small parcel wrapped in paper. She gently placed it on the bench between them. "You haven't eaten," she said softly. Mateo hesitated. She didn't insist. After a moment, curiosity, or perhaps need, got the better of him. He unwrapped the parcel. Inside were 2 warm empanadas. He looked at her. "Why?" She smiled, eyes still on the passing crowd. "Because someone once did the same for me." Mateo didn't speak for a moment. The empanada was warm in his hand, its aroma gently rising in the cool air. He took a bite. The flavor was simple, but comforting. It tasted like something made with care. Something made at home. He watched the woman from the corner of his eye. She still hadn't looked at him. Her gaze lingered on the people rushing past. Then softly she said, "I'm Isabel." He swallowed his bite. "Mateo." A small nod. Then silence again. Not awkward. Not forced. Just enough. "You're not from around here," she added, her eyes still far away. "No. I'm from Salta. Came here for work. Didn't go quite as planned." Isabel nodded slowly. Buenos Aires has a way of testing people. She reached into her bag again and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It looked old, but carefully kept. She handed it to him, without explanation. Mateo opened it. It was a handwritten list. Names, addresses. Some crossed out. Some underlined. "What is this?" he asked. "People who helped me once. When I first came to this city," she said. "And some I helped in return. It's like passing the torch, you see? One act of kindness at a time." Mateo stared at the paper. A strange feeling stirred in his chest. Not hope, not quite, but something close. Like a memory of hope. "I'm not sure what to do with this," he admitted. "You'll know," Isabel said simply. Then she stood. "Wait. Will I see you again?" he asked. She looked at him for the first time. Her eyes were deep, warm, and tired. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you'll be the one someone else meets on a gray afternoon." Then, she walked away, the red umbrella bobbing gently in the fading drizzle. Mateo kept the list in his jacket pocket for 2 days before he did anything with it. He wasn't even sure why he had held on to it. It felt like nonsense. Outdated names, strangers who owed nothing. But on the 3rd morning, after another rejection and a long walk through San Telmo, he took out the list and read the first name. Ana Valdez. Paseo Jufra 17. He hesitated, then made his way through the cobbled streets. The address was a small house with a wooden door, paint peeling. He knocked once, unsure. The door creaked open. A woman in her 40s looked at him, confused. Yes, I'm looking for Ana Valdez. She studied him. Who's asking? My name's Mateo. I met someone who gave me this address. Isabel. She said you might understand. For a moment, Ana said nothing. Then her shoulders relaxed. Come in. Inside, the house was modest but warm. She offered him tea, without asking. As they sat, Ana explained how she had once been homeless. Years ago, Isabel had taken her in for a week when no shelter would. So, what do you need? Ana asked. A chance. Any chance. Ana looked him over. I might have something. A friend needs help at her bakery. It's not much, but it's honest work. Mateo nodded. That's more than I've had in weeks. The next morning, Mateo found himself in front of a small bakery tucked between antique shops on Defensa Street. The smell of bread, sugar, and cinnamon floated out into the street. Inside, a short, sharp-eyed woman was arranging media lunas on a tray. You're Mateo? Ana called. Yes. I'm here to help. We'll see, she said. I'm Julia. Put on an apron. The work was simple but constant. Rolling dough, cleaning counters, helping customers. Mateo's back ached after just a few hours. But it was honest, just like Ana said. By the third day, he had learned to smile at regulars, memorize orders, and even laugh once or twice. He still went home to a bare room in a shared boarding house, but now with bread in his bag and blisters on his hands. One afternoon, after closing, Julia sat beside him outside the shop. She lit a cigarette and offered him one. He shook his head. You've got good hands, she said. Ever thought of learning to bake properly? I never had the chance. Now you do, if you want it. And for the first time in a long time, Mateo said, yes. 1 week later, on his way back from the bakery, Mateo saw a man sitting by the fountain in Plaza Dorigo. The man was playing an old guitar, case open for coins, singing a soft tune that echoed through the emptying plaza. He was thin, ragged, but his voice was gold. As Mateo dropped a coin into the case, the man looked up. Their eyes met. There was something familiar in them. You're Isabel's boy, the man said. Mateo blinked. You know her? We all know her in one way or another. He patted the bench. Mateo sat. I'm Roque. She gave you the list, didn't she? Yes. Roque nodded. Then I suppose you're part of it now. Part of what? A long chain. Started long before us. Might continue long after. But it only works if we do our part. Mateo looked at him. What's my part? Roque strummed his guitar, a gentle chord. You'll find out. Usually, when someone sits next to you, hungry and lost. Just like you were. 3 weeks after meeting Isabel, Mateo stood in front of a small door on the second floor of a faded blue building in La Boca. The bakery had gone well. Julia paid him modestly but fairly, and for the first time, he could afford a room of his own. No more shared bunk beds or late-night arguments over noise. Just a single bed, a tiny window, and peace. He placed the list on the bedside table. The names stared at him, some underlined, some faint. He felt the pull to visit the next one. But not yet. That night, as the city hummed below his window, Mateo sat with a pencil and a blank page. He wrote down the names of people he had met. Julia. Ana. Roque. They had helped him. Would he help them back? Would he help others? The thought didn't frighten him. It felt right. He folded the paper and tucked it beneath the mattress. A new list. One day, someone else might need it. The rain came fast and hard, without warning. Mateo had just closed up the bakery when the sky broke open. He ducked under an awning and waited. Then he saw him, a boy no older than 12, soaked and shivering, clutching a thin hoodie over his shoulders. Mateo stepped forward. Hey. You all right? The boy flinched, looked ready to bolt. Mateo reached into his bag and pulled out a paper-wrapped loaf. Pan casero. Still warm. You hungry? The boy stared at it. Then at Mateo. I won't ask anything. You can just take it. Slowly, the boy stepped forward and took the loaf. He tore into it like he hadn't eaten in days. Mateo crouched beside him, both of them wet under the storm. Name's Mateo. What's yours? The boy mumbled. Nico. You got somewhere to go, Nico? He shook his head. Mateo glanced up at the sky, then back at the boy. Come with me. Just for the night. And just like that, he became someone else's Isabel. Nico stayed with Mateo for a week. The boy didn't talk much, but he listened. Watched. Mateo taught him how to roll dough at the bakery. Julia grumbled at first, but softened when she saw the boy scrub the floor without being asked. Roque began stopping by the bakery with his guitar. He played soft songs while the morning customers lined up. He started teaching Nico a few chords. The rhythm of life felt steady. Mateo didn't have much, but he had a routine, a purpose. The bakery, Nico, the guitar chords echoing through the kitchen. He began saving money, quietly, tucking a few bills into a tin under his bed. One day, as the three of them sat on the curb after closing, Roque handed the guitar to Nico. Try it. Nico looked at Mateo, then Roque, then placed his fingers on the strings. The sound was rough, unsure, but full of heart. You're better than I was at your age, Roque smiled. Mateo listened. The music had returned, not just in sound but in feeling. One chilly morning, Julia handed Mateo a letter. He stared at the envelope. No return address. Just his name, written in tight, slanted script. He opened it. A job offer. An accounting firm in Palermo had received his application from months ago. They had an opening. It was entry-level, but it was official. Professional. A step toward the life he once dreamed of. Go, Julia said. This was your goal, no? Yes. But, Nico. He'll be fine. He's stronger than he looks. That night, Mateo sat at the window with the letter in his lap. Nico slept on the mattress. Roque's guitar leaned against the wall. He looked at the list Isabel had given him, then at his own. New names, new hands passed through. He didn't know the right choice. But he knew this. Whichever path he took, he had already changed. Mateo accepted the job. He met with the firm, signed the papers, and began a new chapter. He worked mornings at the bakery for a few weeks more, slowly easing away. Julia trained someone new. Nico enrolled in a community music program, thanks to a connection Roque had. On his first day at the office, Mateo wore a clean shirt, borrowed tie, and polished shoes. As he exited the sup near Plaza de Mayo, the clouds rolled overhead. And then he saw it. Across the street, sitting quietly on a bench, was Isabel. The red umbrella rested beside her. She was older than he remembered. Or maybe just the same. He crossed the street, heart racing. Isabel. She looked up. A small smile. You did well, she said. Mateo sat beside her. Thank you. For that day. One day, she said, someone will thank you too. They sat in silence. When Mateo turned to say more, she was already gone. Just the red umbrella left on the bench. He picked it up, held it in his hands, and for the first time, truly understood what it meant to show up when someone needed it most.